Shopping with Dad at Bon Marche is the best.
Make it the best, make it yours. Bon Marche.
Welcome to BrickTrains, and I'm Joey, and here it is. I know it's on this really short table. I've already had comments. Everybody's freaking out. It's gonna fall off. It's not. It's fine. But this isn't where it's gonna live. So I've got it running. I'm gonna show you some video real quick of me working on it. Here I'm having to put in some the cables for the battery connections between the locomotive and the post car are the little blue pieces are gone, so I've taken another wire here and added those blue pieces back. They're just like a little shielding or guard, like something for you to grab onto other than bare metal. Later on I'm going to realize that those were probably missing and I will take them off. Turns out that with those blue pieces on, you can't put the motor in the right spot. That, they probably just weren't there. Okay, so I'm getting set up now to work on the battery box. I've already got my C batteries in. I've cleaned up the inside. There was a little bit of tarnish, but not leaked batteries. It wasn't corroded. So I did clean up the contacts a little bit. As you can see here, I'm not getting good voltage. That could just possibly be me. I'm not an electrician. I don't even work for the phone company. So I am getting 4.5 volts there every once in a while. Again, I'm not sure if it's just poor contacts inside the battery box itself, or if it's just me not being able to get the probes in there good. As you can see, I got my finger running across the probe, so I'm sure that's affecting the voltage. This is about the time that I realized that those little blue covers that I put back on the wires going from the post car there to the locomotive are going to be in the way. As you saw earlier, they were probably not in the set because you couldn't get them plugged in at the same time as, or you couldn't get them plugged in with those blue covers on. Right now I'm trying to check for continuity, and I have forgot all my basic skills of electronics. I keep, basically what I'm doing here is testing whether or not the wires are not connected to each other, which is absolutely useless. I keep switching the switch, the polarity reversing switch on the back side, thinking I'm going to see something, and I'm not. But that's because the wires are not connected to each other. So it's actually showing exactly what I'm supposed to be, or I'm getting the exact readings I'm supposed to. I just don't know what I'm doing. So now I'm going to go and probe inside the switch itself, and once again all I'm doing is confirming that those two wires are not touching each other. I have nothing shorted out. Good to know, I guess, but not what I wanted. Now it dawns on me. Oh wait, yes. I want to check from one connection to the next connection, and there we go. I'm starting to see resistance. I'm not an electrician, so I probably have my meter in the wrong thing, but all I know is I want to see some numbers there. So I have continuity through the switch, so I know the switch is working. So I'm going to hook it up. Again, I offset the battery box by one stud just for these tests, so I can get the cables plugged in there. That's something there too. As you see, I was messing with the battery box. The C batteries nowadays are just a little bit bigger than what they would have been in the 60s, or at least if they are not bigger, then Lego made those battery boxes really, really small. because I have broken those battery boxes before by putting batteries in there. Rechargeable batteries are absolutely bigger. They will absolutely break one of those battery boxes if you're not careful. And of course, this is brittle blue, so it's really easy to break this this material. And as you can see in some of the pictures, the engine is broken. So I'm building a little stand here to hold the train up, the locomotive itself, because I do realize that once I plug it in, it will try to run, and I don't want it to take off and run off the side of the table. I put the stand on there across the track. I don't know what I was thinking. That was obviously not going to work. And then I go, yeah, here we go. Let's turn it around, drop it down in between the tiles, and Bob's your uncle off to the races. So we'll get the battery box on. You can see there how the roof section of the train, of the locomotive itself, is just is broken. It's actually separate, and the Lego pieces are broken at the glue joints. Very tedious, very tight, trying to get the wires in. I still have the blue connectors on. You can see them there. And which means the motor is not going to sit in the proper spot. I'm about to get frustrated and just do something different. I'm attempting to hook the battery directly to the motor. As you're going to see, it's going to take off. That was good. And we actually have movement. We have movement in the reverse direction. So I know my battery box is working, although I was able to test that with the voltmeter. But most importantly, we know the motor works. So now I'm back to trying to figure out how I'm going to set this up and test. All I'm trying to do at this point is make sure that the battery box works, the motor runs, and we're getting some kind of reversing of polarity on this switch. Very important for the back and forth action. And of course, I've chosen the absolute worst place in my house to work on this. Not my desk, but in the YouTube studio there. As you saw, the switch was going back and forth. I was switching it back and forth, and we have forward, or actually I think that's reverse, and the opposite. So everything's functioning. We have wheels turning, we have switches switching, we have power from the battery box. We're good to go. So let's try not to tear it up there, Joey. Get it all unplugged. Alright, we just about got it hooked back up. Run the wires through the locomotive. And again, I don't have the couplers yet. This is just an electrical test. And I got the battery sitting on there. Again, the cables are holding the battery box out of position, not allowing the battery to fit in there correctly. So I just kind of got it propped up, sitting there, put my tools away, and here we go. This is the first test to see if it'll work. Oh, we had a little bit of movement. There we go, Jabbo. I banged on the table for you. Switch is not making good contact. Turns out it's really not the switch, it's actually the cables and the connectors. Well, actually the switch is probably not good because it doesn't seem to matter, but the one socket just seems to be loose. It doesn't matter which cable I plug into it, it always seems to be that one socket that's loose. I also just realized the polarity was backwards for the switch. Now we got the train actually running the correct direction. There we go, doing a little wheelie. Now we're going backwards. There we have it. It's running again after who knows how many years. Probably 30 years. Back and forth. The switch is functioning. Let's talk about some of the things that are different or special about this set. See if we can get it to move up. Move up out of the way. Get it in the middle. Oh, the coupler got hung up. Joey breaks it. All right, we're gonna turn that off for a second. It actually ran pretty good for that amount of time. Okay, so some of the oddball things. I've posted pictures on BrickSet Forum. I've also posted some pictures on Facebook Vintage Collectors Forum. The feedback that I got from like Gary Eistock was he felt that it was going to have these couplers. The post car has, which these are the clip couplers or hook. I guess they're like a pin and loop, I think is what they would have called that. Or is that right? Hook and loop maybe. This would have been an old style European type coupler. This is Lego's very first train coupler. So this would have been 66, 68, 66, 67, 68. There was almost 3 different versions of this one coupler before they came out with the red and blue magnets. The problem with this particular display having those or these type of couplers would have been the use of this piece right here on the postcard. This is part 157, and it is the reversing units, what is causing the train to go back and forth here. And that came with, as far as I understand it, as far as my research tells me, it only came with the red and blue magnets like these right here. So those red and blue magnets could have been removed, and we could have used this style of loop and hook type coupler, pin coupler, whatever you want to call it. So there are some questions as to which couplers it would have had. This is also, we have to remember, this is a display model. There's a high probability that they could have mixed multiple things. I think this, because of the 157, the reversing unit, I know it's at least 1968. There is a real good possibility that it could have been for 1967 Christmas, because the new toys for 1968, which would have included that 157, they could have had this model together by then. Unfortunately, I was not able to find any dates on the box or anything like that to give a time frame. The best I can tell you is it's no earlier than 1966 for the set. Most likely it's no earlier than 1968 because of the reversing unit that was used. So I think they used some pieces from different things. Another interesting little piece that I didn't catch right away, and actually Brickzar caught it, and when he mentioned it, I didn't catch what he was saying, but if we look at the locomotive, there are 1x4 bricks in this model, and they are glued in. They are glued to the model, and they're the correct vintage as best I can tell. I can't flip them over and see what the tubes look like or if there's any pat pending or anything like that. But set 113 did not come with 1x4 bricks. Now 1x4 bricks would have been around. They were introduced in '64, I believe. They should have been available, but they were not used in this set. In fact, I'm not sure how many sets the 1x4 brick was used in. It would have came with 1x2 bricks, 2 of them to make the 1x4, which was very annoying, made the set very hard to build. And I can't see, yeah, actually in the cars,
in the glued cars, at the end of the passenger car, there's a 1x4. I'll have to check and see if that's in this. Well, I know it's not in the set. I know it's not in the 113 set because the 113 did not come with any. And yes, the post car, the box car with the reversing unit also has some 1x4s in it. So this set was not strictly built from a 113 set. It was, well, you know, Samsonite would have had their own model shop, I would think. I don't believe it's possible that this came from Europe, built like the set came from Europe. And maybe that's what happened, the set came from Europe. But this is obviously an American, the sign on the base plate is obviously for the American market. And we know based on the box that it came from Samsonite. So, kind of interesting to look at it and break it down and try to figure out when it was. I'm still confident that this would have been 1968 year, possibly 1967 Christmas. I do have a 1965 Bon Marche catalog, and they have the Toyland insert, and there was definitely Lego on sale at Bon Marche stores. Obviously this set was not in there, it wasn't available in 64. So, still looking. If you've come across the 1967 or 68 Christmas catalog from Bon Marche, I'd be interested in seeing it. Pictures of it, possibly even purchasing it for the right price. So what else can I tell you other than it's operating? I did do a little bit of work with the wheels to get them to turn. I put a little secret sauce in there, not oil. It looked like it had been oiled before. The brass had kind of tarnished and looked like it had possibly, it looks like somebody probably used a little bit of sewing machine oil in there to try to get these wheels. These wheels are notorious for not wanting to turn. They, you know, they have the friction ribs on the track and the wheels to give it traction, but then they put rubber tires on the locomotive for even more traction. So I put my little secret sauce in there, and it was rolling pretty good. So I'm pleased. It's going to have a new home. We got it back on the base, on the wooden board pretty good. I didn't glue anything. The couplers were missing, and I just, you know, these are the ones that I've decided to use. They're going to stay with it. The 157 switching unit here was broken, and it looked like somebody had done a lot of gluing to try to get it back into good shape there. And at some point, this red brick was added to the train, and I think this is the configuration of the coupler. I think this was a repair that was done at the store when this coupler broke on the 157. So I think they put that brick in there, essentially lowering the switch or the coupler, essentially lowering it, and I mean, it still works that way. The coupler on the cars and between the cars, and this one was still glued in place, and when we look at the bottom of the cars, you can actually see where the couplers were glued on. You know, obviously something happened, caused the couplers to come off. Okay, so are you guys ready? Are you ready to see it go? Here we go. We're gonna see it go. I'm gonna flip the switch. Look at that. I have full confidence it's gonna stop, not run off. So here it is. This would have been a store display in in a, well, this was supposedly came from a Bon Marche store. The eBay seller that I purchased it from said he bought it from an antique dealer and they got it from a Bon Marche store. Wasn't a whole lot of detail there. I do know that how's that go, Jabbo? Pound on the table. What it is this one battery connection here is very loose. That's why it's not wanting to stay. I need to probably change that cable and see if I can splay out that connector. Oh no! The coupler fell off. Okay, so let's leave it stopped. So there you go. There's my Lego 113 Samsonite store display. Thanks for watching. So that's my 113 store display from a Bon Marche store. As Mardi Gras Man pointed out, I've been pronouncing it wrong. It's a new home there in the store. We'll get a little acrylic case over it, hopefully with the UV protection. So comment contest. What year did the 1x4 brick first appear? First correct answer in the comments, and I'll pin you to the top.